Welcome back to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series. Today, we're going to be diving deep into a case from 2017.
Yeah, right.
And this one really sent shockwaves through college in Chennai, India.
Yeah.
It's a story about a love triangle,
Mm-hmm.
betrayal, and a devastating end. So think about this.
Okay.
How can a typical campus love story turn into a crime of passion?
Right.
Well, that's what we're exploring today.
Well, what's really intriguing about this case is how it mirrors so many other college romances, at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
We have Divya Sharma,
Okay.
a bright commerce student,
Mm-hmm.
and her boyfriend, Arjun Menon, who was known for his charisma.
Right.
They were considered the golden couple.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Like the kind of couple that everyone admires.
Right.
But like you said, there's always more to the story.
Right. And that's where Sameer Reddy enters the picture.
Okay.
He was a final year engineering student and a close friend of Divya, but his feelings for her ran much deeper,
Right.
creating a classic love triangle dynamic.
Yeah, so we've got the setup for some serious drama.
Yeah.
Knowing that Divya was with Arjun,
Right?
what did Sameer do?
Well,
Did he just pine away quietly?
not exactly.
Okay.
The sources suggest he became quite persistent,
Okay.
expressing his feelings for Divya, urging her to break up with Arjun.
Wow.
Imagine that pressure on her.
Yeah, that had to be incredibly difficult for Divya.
Right.
Trying to maintain a friendship,
Yeah.
but dealing with those unwanted advances.
Yeah.
And what about Arjun? How did he react to all of this?
Well, the sources indicate that Arjun became increasingly aware of Sameer's intentions. Tensions began to rise,
Yeah.
arguments ensued,
Yeah.
and a sense of unease settled over their once close friendship.
It's like watching a pot simmering on the stove.
Right?
You just know it's going to boil over eventually. Was there a specific event that caused things to really explode?
There was, indeed.
Okay.
Sameer, seemingly driven by desperation,
Yeah.
secretly recorded a conversation with Divya and then manipulated the audio to create the impression that they were romantically involved.
That's devious and incredibly hurtful to violate someone's trust and privacy like that.
Right.
It's a clear indication that things were escalating beyond simple jealousy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the situation worsened when Sameer leaked this fabricated recording to their classmates.
Oh, geez.
And rumors spread quickly.
Of course.
Divya's reputation suffered immensely.
Of course.
And Arjun, understandably, began to question her loyalty.
Right.
This was a turning point where what was once a private matter became a public spectacle.
I can't imagine the kind of emotional turmoil all three of them must have been experiencing at that time.
Yeah.
How did the college community react to this sudden scandal?
The college community, as you can imagine, was thrown into a whirlwind of gossip and speculation.
Yeah.
Everyone was trying to decipher the truth amidst the swirling rumors.
It's a situation where everyone loses, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Reputations are tarnished, friendships are shattered,
Yeah.
and a sense of trust is broken.
It is.
Yeah.
And tragically, the situation didn't end there.
Oh, no.
The emotional fallout from the scandal set the stage for a confrontation that would have devastating consequences.
So we're seeing how a seemingly innocent love triangle
Right.
can escalate into something
Yeah.
much darker and more dangerous.
Exactly.
What happened next?
On November 5th, 2017, Arjun,
Okay.
driven by anger and a desire for answers, decided to confront Sameer.
Right.
He wanted to understand why Sameer had gone to such extreme length
Yeah.
to sabotage his relationship with Divya.
This feels like the moment where everything comes to a head.
Yeah.
Where the simmering tension boils over and spills out, sometimes with tragic consequences.
Yes. And it's a moment that underlines how unchecked emotions can lead to irreversible actions.
Yeah.
They met at a secluded spot near the college campus. And as you might expect, the argument escalated quickly.
So the confrontation was unavoidable at this point.
Right.
What happened during that fateful encounter?
It seems that in the heat of the moment, fueled by rage and a sense of betrayal, Arjun struck Sameer with a heavy object, inflicting fatal injuries.
That's a chilling turn of events. From a love triangle to a violent confrontation.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control when emotions are running high.
Indeed. And in the aftermath of that tragic act, we see another common theme in these cases: panic and flight.
Right.
Arjun, realizing the gravity of what he'd done, fled the scene,
Of course.
leaving behind a trail of devastation and unanswered questions.
I imagine the fear and regret must have been overwhelming for him at that point.
Yeah.
But as we know, fleeing the scene doesn't erase the crime.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And the consequences of that night would ripple through the lives of everyone involved.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the shock and grief that must have swept through the campus when the next morning Sameer's body was discovered. And the news of his death spread like wildfire.
Yeah, students, faculty, everyone grappling with the sudden loss of a young life under such disturbing circumstances.
Of course.
The police, of course, launched an immediate investigation.
With a case this high profile, the pressure on investigators must have been immense. How did they start piecing together what happened that night?
Well, witness testimonies became crucial in the early stages of the investigation. Fellow students who were aware of the tensions between Arjun, Divya, and Sameer provided valuable insights. Their accounts helped investigators establish the backdrop of the love triangle, the simmering jealousies, and the escalating conflicts.
It's like a puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
The investigators gathering fragments of information, trying to assemble them into a coherent picture of what led to this tragic outcome. Were there any physical clues at the crime scene?
Yes. Forensic evidence played a significant role. The analysis of the crime scene revealed that Sameer had been struck with a blunt object consistent with a heavy stone found nearby. And DNA analysis linked that stone to Arjun, adding weight to the witness testimonies.
So the physical evidence was aligning with the accounts of those who knew about the tensions between Arjun and Sameer.
Exactly.
But what about the manipulated audio recording? Did that come into play during the investigation?
Absolutely. The police recovered the recording from Sameer's phone. It revealed his calculated efforts to damage Divya's reputation and sow discord between her and Arjun. This discovery added another layer of complexity to the case, raising questions about Sameer's motivations and the extent to which his actions contributed to the escalating tensions.
It becomes a question of accountability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
While Arjun's actions had tragic consequences, Sameer's manipulation played a role in creating the volatile environment.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
It underscores how actions, even those that might seem less physically harmful, can have profound and unforeseen consequences.
So we have a web of interconnected events and decisions. What happened to Arjun after the incident?
Well,
did he attempt to evade the police?
No, it appears the weight of his actions and perhaps the realization of the irreversible consequences led him to confess.
Oh, wow.
He admitted to the crime, stating that he acted in a moment of rage, driven to desperation by Sameer's persistent attempts to sabotage his relationship and humiliate Divya.
That confession must have had a significant impact on the case.
Yeah.
It removes the element of uncertainty, but it also opens the door to understanding Arjun's state of mind at the time of the incident.
Precisely. The confession provided a crucial piece of the puzzle, but it also raised questions about intent and culpability. Was this a premeditated act of revenge or a spontaneous outburst fueled by overwhelming emotion? These questions would become central to the trial that followed.
This is where the legal system steps in, attempting to untangle a complex web of emotions, actions, and consequences. What was the focus of the prosecution's case against Arjun?
The prosecution aimed to establish premeditation. They argued that Arjun's decision to confront Sameer, armed with the heavy stone, indicated a deliberate plan to inflict harm. They emphasized the fact that he chose a secluded location for their meeting, suggesting he intended to avoid witnesses and carry out a violent act.
That's a compelling argument. It suggests that Arjun's actions were calculated and planned. But what about the defense? How did they counter that narrative?
The defense, as you might expect, presented a contrasting perspective. They argued that Arjun's actions were not premeditated, but rather a tragic consequence of emotional distress. They emphasized the relentless harassment and manipulation Arjun and Divya endured at the hands of Sameer.
So the defense was attempting to shift the focus to the emotional context of the crime, arguing that Arjun was driven to a breaking point by Sameer's actions. Did the defense offer any specific evidence to support their claims?
They presented evidence of the manipulated audio recording, highlighting the extent of Sameer's efforts to damage Divya's reputation and undermine their relationship. They also presented testimony from friends and classmates.
Who witnessed the emotional toll the situation was taking on Arjun, portraying him as a young man pushed to his limit.
So we have two competing narratives. One emphasizing premeditation and intent. The other highlighting emotional distress and a reaction to extreme provocation. This must have presented a difficult challenge for the jury.
It certainly did. The jury had to weigh the evidence, consider the motivations of all involved, and ultimately determine the nature of Arjun's actions that night. This was a case that touched upon themes of love, betrayal, jealousy, and rage, making it both emotionally resonant and legally complex.
The verdict in a case like this carries immense weight, not just for the defendant, but for everyone impacted by the tragedy.
Exactly.
What was the outcome of the trial?
After weeks of deliberation,
the jury returned with a verdict of manslaughter. They acknowledged the mitigating circumstances, recognizing the role of emotional distress and provocation, but ultimately held Arjun accountable for his actions. The judge, taking into consideration both the severity of the crime and the mitigating factors, sentenced Arjun to 10 years in prison.
10 years. That's a significant portion of a young person's life. It reflects the seriousness of the crime, while also acknowledging the complexities of the circumstances.
That's a perceptive observation. The sentence reflects a delicate balance within the justice system, seeking both punishment and rehabilitation. But it's important to remember that the impact of this tragedy extends far beyond the courtroom.
Absolutely. This case had profound consequences for everyone involved, leaving a lasting impact on the college community and beyond.
You're right. The college, in the wake of this tragedy, took significant steps to address the issues that contributed to the events of that night. They implemented stricter policies against harassment and bullying, introduced workshops on conflict resolution and emotional well-being, and created channels for students to report concerns and seek help.
It's a sobering reminder that even amidst the vibrancy and excitement of college life, there are underlying issues that need to be addressed. Did the individuals involved, those closest to the tragedy, find any sense of closure or healing?
That's a difficult question and one that we can't definitively answer. The sources indicate that Divya, understandably traumatized by the ordeal, chose to leave the college and relocate, seeking a fresh start away from the pain and memories associated with the incident.
It's a heart-wrenching reminder that even with time, healing from such a traumatic experience can be a long and arduous journey.
It is. And while we can't speak for those directly involved, we can acknowledge the profound and lasting impact of this case. It serves as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unchecked emotions and the importance of fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and support.
It's a reminder that even in seemingly ordinary settings, like a college campus, tensions can escalate, emotions can spiral out of control, and actions can have devastating consequences. And actions can have devastating consequences. It's hard to grasp the ripple effects of a tragedy like this.
It really is.
It started with a love triangle, something seemingly common on a college campus, and escalated into a situation with such profound consequences.
It's a stark reminder of the darker side of human emotions. None of these individuals started out as villains in this story. They were young people with hopes, dreams, and flaws like all of us. But somewhere along the way, jealousy, possessiveness, and the need for revenge took root, ultimately leading to irreversible actions.
That raises the question of responsibility. While Arjun's actions were clearly criminal, and he was held accountable, Sameer's behavior, the manipulation, the deliberate spreading of rumors was incredibly damaging too. Where do we draw the line?
It forces us to ask, could this tragedy have been prevented Were there missed opportunities for intervention, guidance, or simply open communication? Perhaps if Sameer had sought help for his unrequited feelings, if the three of them had communicated openly and honestly, if the college had fostered an environment where seeking help wasn't seen as a weakness, maybe the outcome would have been different.
That's a haunting thought. Perhaps this wasn't an isolated incident, but a culmination of small failures, missed signals, and a lack of support. What can we learn from this case? Not just for college campuses, but for all of us as we navigate relationships and conflicts.
One crucial takeaway is the importance of emotional intelligence. Recognizing, understanding, and managing our own emotions while being sensitive to the emotions of others is vital. It's about developing healthy coping mechanisms for rejection, disappointment, and anger, and learning to communicate our feelings effectively and respectfully.
You mentioned the college implementing new policies and workshops. But what about the role of bystanders in these situations? We often focus on those directly involved, but what about the people who witnessed the tension, the rumors, the escalating conflict? Do they have a responsibility to intervene?
Absolutely. We cannot stand by passively when we see someone being bullied, harassed, or mistreated. Speaking up, offering support, reporting concerns to authorities, these actions can make a real difference. It's about creating a culture of collective responsibility where we don't turn a blind eye to harmful behavior.
It all comes back to empathy, doesn't it? Putting ourselves in others' shoes, understanding their perspectives, treating them with kindness and respect. It sounds simple.
It does.
But it's something we all need reminding of, especially in today's world, where it's easy to get caught up in our own lives and ignore the struggles of others.
Well said.
And that's a powerful note to end on. As tragic as this case is, it serves as a reminder that our actions have consequences. Empathy and understanding are essential. We all have a role to play in preventing similar tragedies from happening.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Chennai College Love Scandal.
It's a powerful story.
It's a story that reminds us of the complexities of human emotions, the fragility of life, and the importance of making choices that lead to healing rather than harm. We hope you found this conversation insightful and thought-provoking. Remember to follow and subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel for more deep dives into intriguing and impactful stories. Until next time, stay safe and be kind to one another.